The notebook hit my 12-year-old son directly in the chest. He caught it with both hands, his face expressionless as my father laughed from across the living room. "That's all the education you'll ever need, kid," Dad said from his leather recliner. "Your mother thinks you're some kind of genius, but we both know the truth." Marcus looked down at the cheap dollar store notebook. He didn't respond, just held it carefully. I stood in the doorway of my childhood home. My mother sat on the couch, nervously twisting her hands. My brother David occupied the other chair, smirking at his phone. "Sarah, you need to stop filling the boy's head with nonsense," Dad continued. "All this talk about special schools. He's average at best." Kept my voice level. Marcus scored in the 99th percentile nationally. "Tests don't mean anything," David chimed in. "The real world is what counts." Marcus sat down near the coffee table and opened the notebook. He pulled a pencil from his pocket and began writing. "See? He doesn't even care," Dad laughed. "Probably can't understand half of what we're saying." My mother finally spoke. "Thomas, maybe we should." "Should what, Linda?" Dad gestured at me. "Someone needs to tell her the truth. The boy is 12 and you're still acting like he's something special." I noticed the papers on the side table. The top document read "Final Notice" in red. "Marcus," I said quietly, "go wait in the car." He looked up, closed the notebook and walked past his grandfather without a word. After the front door closed, I picked up the envelope. "What's this about?" Dad's face darkened. "None of your business." "It's an eviction notice," I said. 60 days to vacate." "Put that down," David said, looking up. "Dad's handling it." "Handling it how?" "You're 3 months behind and the property owner is terminating the lease." My mother's voice was barely a whisper. "We had unexpected expenses. Like the new car in the driveway? The one David's been posting about." David stood. "That's different. That's an investment. An investment while your parents get evicted." Dad waved his hand. "We'll figure it out. The landlord will give us more time. The notice says you've already had 2 extensions. This is final." "Then we'll find another place," Dad snapped. "Not your concern, Sarah." I set the notice back on the table. "Is that what you think?" "That's what we know," David said. "You moved away, got your fancy job. You barely visit." "I came because Marcus wanted to see his grandparents." Dad laughed bitterly. "The kid can barely hold a conversation. You should have him tested. There's something not right there." My phone buzzed. A text from my assistant. "Meeting at 4 p.m. confirmed with property management. Documents ready." "I need to make a call," I said, stepping into the kitchen. I could still hear Dad talking. "She's probably calling her therapist. Always making everything dramatic." I dialed quickly. "Hi, James. Yes, I'm still at the address. Forward me the property details." I paused. "Perfect. Send everything." My phone chimed with the email. I opened the attachment and scanned the documents. I walked back into the living room. "So you need to be out by the end of next month?" "We'll manage," Dad said. "Unlike some people, we don't run from problems." "Where will you go?" My mother spoke, her voice shaking. "There's a smaller place 30 minutes from here. Not ideal, but—" "It's a dump," David interrupted. 1 bedroom. Mom and Dad crammed in there with all their stuff." "Then help them," I suggested. He scoffed. "I'm barely making ends meet." "But you could afford a new car?" "That's for work. I need reliable transportation." Dad's phone rang. He glanced at the screen. "It's the property management company." He answered with forced confidence. "Hello? Yes, this is Thomas Anderson." I watched his face as he listened. The confidence drained away, replaced by confusion, then anger. "What do you mean?" Dad said. "Who authorized that?" Another pause. "But I've been a tenant here for 15 years. He fell silent, his hand tightening around the phone. "Put your supervisor on." David looked between us. "What's going on?" Dad ignored him. "I don't understand. The owner wants what?" His face went pale. "Immediate eviction?" I kept my expression neutral. 24 hours? Dad's voice rose. "That's not legal." "More listening." "Fine. Connect me to the owner." My mother clutched her hands together. "Thomas, what's happening?" He held up one finger, still listening to the phone. Yes, I'll hold. He covered the mouthpiece and looked at my mother. They're saying the owner wants us out in 24 hours. Something about lease violations and property damage. Property damage? David said. What property damage? Before Dad could answer, he uncovered the phone. Hello? I'm here. I want to know who the hell you think you are, changing the terms like this. His face shifted from anger to shock. What? That's impossible. I pulled up the email on my phone again, reviewing the documents one more time. Dad's hand started shaking. My daughter? What does she have to do with anything? He looked directly at me, his eyes wide. You're telling me that Sarah... He couldn't finish the sentence. Let me clarify something, I said quietly. The property manager is correct. Everyone in the room stared at me. I purchased this property 6 months ago, I continued. The previous owner was looking to liquidate several rental properties in the area. I acquired 4 of them, including this house. Dad lowered the phone slowly. You're lying. I pulled up another document on my phone and turned the screen toward him. This is the deed recorded with the county clerk on March 15th. You've been paying rent to my property management company since then. My mother made a small sound, something between a gasp and a whimper. Why? Dad managed to ask. Because you were about to lose your home, I said simply. The previous owner was selling to a developer who wanted to tear down all these houses and build condos. I bought them to keep that from happening. David was on his feet. So all this time we've been paying you? You've been paying my property management company, I corrected. Which is standard practice. They handle the day-to-day operations. And the eviction notice, my mother asked weakly. Is real, I confirmed. You're 3 months behind on rent. That's $9,000. My property manager has been trying to work with you, but you've ignored every payment plan they've offered. Dad's face went from pale to red. You could have said something. You could have told us. Would you have accepted help from me? I asked. Would you have let me forgive the debt or restructure the payments? Or would you have done exactly what you're doing now, getting angry and accusing me of interfering? No one answered. Marcus's notebook, I said, changing direction. Do you want to know what he was writing in it? I pulled up another image on my phone. Earlier, while Marcus waited in the car, he had sent me a photo. It showed the page he'd been working on. Complex mathematical equations, the kind used in advanced physics. He's been accepted into the National Youth Science Academy, I continued. Full scholarship. They only take 30 students per year from the entire country. He's been working on a paper about quantum mechanics, at 12 years old. I showed them the photo. This is what he was writing in your dollar store notebook. These are graduate-level calculations that he does for fun. My mother covered her mouth with her hand. David sat back down heavily. The reason I don't visit often, I said, isn't because I think I'm too good for this family. It's because every time I do, you spend the entire visit tearing down either me or my son. And I've tried to protect him from that. But he asked to come today. He wanted to give you another chance. Dad still held his phone, though the call had apparently ended. Sarah, The eviction stands, I said. 24 hours to vacate. That's not negotiable anymore. Where are we supposed to go? David demanded. There's a 2-bedroom apartment in the same complex where I live, I said. It's been vacant for 3 weeks. I've held it specifically for this situation. My mother looked up. What? The rent is $1,200 a month, which is half of what you're currently supposed to be paying here. It's close to the senior center where Mom volunteers, and there's a bus line that runs to David's work. I looked at my father. If you want it, the lease is ready. The first month is free. After that, standard terms apply. No family discount. No special treatment. You pay on time or you're out. Dad's jaw worked, but no words came out. There's one condition, I added. Marcus is off limits. Completely. You don't comment on his intelligence, his future, his education, or anything else about him. If I hear one more word like what I heard today, the lease is terminated immediately. You can't do that, David protested. I absolutely can, I said. It's my property, my lease, my terms. My mother stood up slowly. Can I see him? Marcus, I mean. Can I apologize? I considered this. He's in the car. You can try. But he's a lot smarter than any of us give him credit for. He knows exactly what you all think of him. She walked toward the front door, moving carefully as if afraid I might stop her. Dad finally found his voice. This is blackmail. No, I said. This is consequences. You've spent years telling me I was making a mistake, that I was wasting my time, that I'd never amount to anything. You said the same things about Marcus. And all that time I was building something. I was working. I was succeeding. Succeeding, David repeated bitterly. So you buy up properties and lord it over your family? I bought properties to have stable investments and passive income, I corrected. The fact that one of them happened to be your childhood home was coincidental. But when I found out you were getting evicted, I tried to help quietly. I restructured the payment schedule. I reduced the rent. I gave extensions. And you ignored all of it. I pulled out a business card and set it on the coffee table. This is my property manager's direct line. If you want the apartment, call him by 6 p.m. today. After that, the offer expires and you'll need to find your own solution. Dad picked up the card, looking at it as if it might burn him. I need to go, I said. Marcus has violin practice at 5. Violin? David said weakly. He's been playing since he was 7. He's quite good. But you wouldn't know that because you've never asked. I walked to the front door. Through the window I could see my mother standing next to my car, talking to Marcus through the passenger window. He was listening, his face serious. Behind me I heard Dad's voice, quieter now. How much are you worth, Sarah? I paused at the door. Enough that I could have bought this house outright and let you live here rent-free for the rest of your lives. But I knew you'd never accept that. You'd rather lose everything than admit I might be capable of helping. I opened the door and stepped out into the afternoon sun. My mother stepped back from the car as I approached. He's a remarkable boy, she said softly. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm so sorry. Tell him that, I said. Not me. I got into the driver's seat. Marcus sat quietly beside me, the cheap notebook on his lap. How do you feel? I asked as I started the engine. He thought about it for a moment. Grandpa throws hard. My chest still hurts a little. I meant emotionally. Oh. He looked down at the notebook. Grandma apologized. She seemed like she meant it. That's good. Did you tell them? He asked. About the house? Yes. What did Grandpa say? Not much. He was surprised. Marcus nodded slowly, running his finger along the edge of the notebook. This is actually pretty good paper. Not great but workable. Better than I expected. I smiled despite everything. You want to keep it? Yeah, he said. I think I'll use it for practice problems. The low quality will remind me not to waste space. We drove in silence for a few minutes. My phone buzzed with a text from my property manager. Thomas Anderson just called. Accepted the lease terms. Signing tomorrow morning. They're taking the apartment, I told Marcus. Will things be better now? He asked. I thought about lying, about giving him false hope. But he deserved honesty. I don't know, I said. Maybe. Probably not right away. But at least now they know the truth. That you're successful? That actions have consequences, I corrected. And that underestimating people is a mistake. Marcus opened his notebook again, clicking his pencil. Can we stop for pizza before violin? Absolutely. As we drove away from my childhood home, I glanced in the rearview mirror. My father stood in the doorway watching us leave. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. My phone buzzed again. Another text, this time from my mother. Thank you. For everything. I know we don't deserve it. I didn't respond. Some things didn't need words. Marcus was already absorbed in his calculations, his pencil moving steadily across the cheap paper. Tomorrow he'd be back to his advanced studies, his scholarship applications, his quantum mechanics research. Today he was just a 12-year-old kid who'd been hit with a notebook by someone who should have protected him. But he'd caught it. He'd held on to it. And he'd found a use for it anyway. Maybe that was the real lesson. Not that I'd proven my worth to my family, but that Marcus had learned he didn't need their approval to be exactly who he was meant to be. The notebook sat on his lap, no longer an insult, just paper, cardboard, and potential. Sometimes that's all you really need.